All right. We're here, we're live, we're in the lounge room. We are so cozy today. It is so cold. We have the heater on, we have hot coffee. We are so snug, and we thought we'd just have our chat today from the lounge room, as I always am, but in the comfort of my actual very own lounge. So thank you so much for those few of you that are joining live. I know it's so hard for so many people. So I am playing with that at the moment, trying to decide what is the best platform if people like to watch or if people like to listen. So it is something that is on my radar. So trying to work that out. And for those that are listening to the replay, thank you, because I know a lot of you said this morning that you're in meetings and it just didn't work out days, times, and I get it. It's really hard, even to get us together for like literally an hour. It was hard, so I get it. So that's why I'm playing with a few ideas at the moment to see what works best for us and you guys as well. So I'm going to jump in because I'm really worried that today we might go over time, only because I have one of my beautiful BFFs here. This is Hayley. I'm sure that so many of you have heard of Hayley, have seen Hayley on my Instagram. She is the other half of what we have. Excuse me, Hayley and I also have the Instagram account Rise and Shine, which is kind of fresh and new, but Hayley kind of is the moderator behind that at the moment. But it's basically sharing everything Lisa and Hayley do. So we've known each other for like, what, 12 years?
Yeah,
we started working at the airport together. So 12 odd years ago in those days of shift work. And yeah, you could honestly say that like what instigated this today was probably like Hayley and I have definitely been on our own little journey of discovery over the last 5 years or so, which has kind of led us to this webinar. And as I always say as well, is that so much of these webinars that I've done, and I'm so glad that Hayley can join me today, is that it's always inspired by what people want or need, or also are inspired by but just don't know where to start, or just want a little bit of inspiration. So hence why I was like, I am doing all the talking. Hayley, poor Hayley does have a voice. But just to give you guys an idea, so we have lots of history. We've shared lots of milestones, some good, some not so good, but yeah, we just love our friendship, and you will see that unravel, and you will also see how different Hayley and I really are throughout this time together today. I even have notes, guys, because this is how much I think I'm going to like bum off track, because we're just going to like yabba. So one thing that I think we both discussed already is we cannot stress enough with this webinar today in particular, is that how different, and I've said this over previous webinars, is just how different we are all going to be in each and every category that we go through today. And we know that we've got a few things on our like agenda: the digital, the physical, the like mental clutter, but we'll all be at different stages, I think, you know, as to where we're at. And it is quite a journey. So many people, when we talk about clutter, people just always think physical clutter for some reason, and I get it. It is a big part, but there's so much more that we can go into. So just keep in mind that this experience is always personalized to you more than anything. And you know, there are no comparisons. Please don't think that, you know, you're this far ahead of someone else and you're so far behind someone else, and we're just all so different in every way. Where we live, how we live, like we're both in 2-bedroom units, Hayley and I. I know a few of you that have joined are in brand new homes, and some are in like living with in-laws at the moment. So I know how many different scenarios there are with everything that we're going to discuss. So that will all unfold, I guess, throughout. So we're going to be covering it all: the mental clutter up here, the digital, all of this jazz, the physical, which is kind of like our space. Yeah, so I guess just overall life. So we're going to try to get through this not as quickly as possible, but as
detailed and calmly as
possible. See, Hayley,
and not to overwhelm. Like, I think it's really important not to become overwhelmed with the information that we're sharing. Just take what is really important for you right now and implement that.
Yeah, agreed. Because I can go off on a big tangent, and as you can see, Hayley will just bring it back. So if you haven't got a pen and paper, or if you want to write notes down, grab your pen and paper, grab a cuppa, take notes. So that would be fantastic. All right, so where to start? Mental?
Yeah, let's go with
mental declutter. So go for it, Hayley.
All right. I think for me, mental declutter really means downloading everything from your mind onto a piece of paper. Is best for me. It could be putting it in notes in your phone. It could be like putting it on a whiteboard in your kitchen, but just getting everything out of your mind, whether it be you need to buy your daughter's friend a birthday present, you need to pay your car retro, but if you can get that onto a list, you're removing it from your mind and allowing your mind to have the space to think and learn other things.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I guess the difference with that as well is that not everyone's a list person, and some people do go for their phone, which is great. I have multiple lists going on high rotation, and I have whiteboard markers on the tiles in my kitchen, which I love too for quick reminders. But like, I think exactly what you're saying there too is that constant, like, you know, when there's just that one thing that it's like exactly what you just said, oh, I've got to get that birthday present for the weekend, I've got to get that birthday present for the weekend. It is actually downloading it in, like, out and away. So we're going to give you a little example here, because this is where the difference comes in, is that I'm a very visual person. No, that is not everybody, but I am so visual, it's ridiculous. And I have my book, and I will show you, which is like massive. It is 2 pages, but basically what I have is categories, only because that's just how I work, and I feel it's simplified. Haley will show you how simplified it can get. But for instance, I've got on my radar, because I've got school holidays coming up, I'm moving next week, I've got a lot in my mind that I'm thinking about. So I have all my categories. So I've got my school holidays list, I've got my house list, I've got computer and phone, so things that I need to action on my computer and my phone. I've got my personal list, so this is like Lisa to-dos. I've got the tasting plate, so things I want to do on my website. And I've also got Rise and Shine, which is always on my radar with Haley. So they're the categories, but then I'm like, what do I need to do? So all these ideas that are coming that I want to do in the school holidays, I'm sick of thinking about them. So I'll literally add them to my school holiday list. And when I conquer them, or when I have downtime to get back to these to-dos, that's when I go through and I'll highlight what I've done. So for me, it's like the categories are there, the lists to me are clean, and I highlight when I'm done. Not everyone's forte. Haley, on the other hand.
Mine is super simple, guys. One notebook for everything life I have, unlike Lisa, who's got like 14 notebooks for 14 different topics. And I always use a pacer. Everything just goes in one list. It's super simple. I'll look at it in the day and I'll go, okay, 1, 2, 3, they're my top priorities, number them, tick them off, again with the pacer, not highlighted, no color. Super, super simple. Once majority of the list is done, I'll roll it over to a new page and start a new list. But so clear, so simple.
So how do you prioritize that though?
Well, like I say, like I look at it in the morning and I'll go, okay, that 1, 2, 3, like they're just things I chucked on to get out of my mind. Like, I want to catch up on my podcast. I know I need to do that, but I kept thinking about it. So I just added it to my to-do list. And on a day that was for me, that became number 1, and that was my priority. But, you know, like we just had our weekend on Friday, it was really important for me to set my intentions for that weekend. So that became my number 1 priority on Friday.
Yeah.
So I hope, like, looking at what I've actually got on the list and knowing what's coming up, and that's how I prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, I just find as well, like, this is not everyone, but you will find with removing everything, and, you know, regardless of how you do it, if it is a notepad for every single topic that you want to do, I kind of just try to keep mine to the one book, but I will have multiple categories. And then as I get through them and I go, oh, there's actually less now than what there is, what I need to do, then I'll go, right, let's start a fresh new page. And, you know, that might be most people. This might be rocket science. This might be, what am I trying to say? This, you know, you might already know this sort of stuff, but some people may not. So I guess it's just kind of sometimes removing it all out of there and downloading it onto, paper as such,
and
or
it just,
phone.
like we said at the start, it just gives you that space to be able to think about things that are truly important and be present in the time, opposed to that constant repeat and cycle.
Yeah, it's the mind chatter. It is the mind chatter, which clear the mind chatter, which leads us to meditation, which is a whole other topic in itself, but that's fine. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about the digital decluttering. Like, this has got to be one of my probably favorite, you two, hands down.
Yeah.
We obviously are so reliant on our devices. Like, that's an understatement.
Computers are everywhere we go, and they're with us. I'm actually trying to find mine. with us all the time, so that we can be constantly contactable, constantly like looking on social media what people are doing. So I think to kick it off first would be social media. Who are you following? What are you following? Do those people make you feel good? Do they bring value to your life? Do they align with your values? Or are you following people that don't make you feel so great about yourself, or are showing you things that you don't want to see? Clear them, clear the decks. And I think it's something we spoke about a little while ago. You were following like thousands of people.
And I was literally doing the aimless, like the mindless scroll, and I was scrolling, and I actually caught myself out doing it. And I literally rung Hayley, and I'm like, you're not going to believe what I've just done. And she's like, what have you done? I said, I personally feel that if I don't engage, if I don't like a photo on Instagram, or if I don't comment, I personally think, sometimes I do the aimless scroll, but I think, why am I following that account? I really want to know that I'm connecting and I'm communicating and engaging with the people that I follow. So I was following over the thousands, and I said to Hayley, I've got to do something about this. And I literally went through one day and I was just like, boom, boom, boom. And I always find I get caught up in the competitions. So you'll have a friend that'll tag you in that $250 homewares giveaway, and there's 10 more accounts to follow. So you start liking them and you start following them, and then before you know it, you've nearly added like 20 new furniture accounts, and you're not even looking for furniture. So I think that's a really big one. Like, keep it in line with who you are, what you love, and just be inspired. And then when I culled like those 400 accounts in like one session, I was like, wow, I'm actually seeing now the positive quotes that I want to be seeing, and I'm seeing the cooking and the food that I once was inspired by, because I just got so caught up in competitions and just, scrolling, that it was just out of control. So I think that's a big one. And like that goes with all socials, even Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, Facebook is great to keep in the loop, but there's probably people in there that are no longer in your circle that you probably don't really
need to be engaging with, or want to be engaging with.
And I mean, it's great for those that you don't get to see all the time, but if it is, you know, like Joe Blow from year 10 that you haven't actually ran into, and then you'll dodge at the shops anyway, get rid of them. Like, I feel like if they're not in your phone contacts, then they're probably not that valuable to you. You know, let's be real. Newsletters for me are massive. I also got in the habit of opening my emails. I no longer open them when I first wake up. That first like 2 hours of my morning is like prime time. I don't actually get onto social media until I do my first post of the day. But emails, delete. And I hadn't even opened the email up. So I think a big one with emails, once again, you'll subscribe, like you subscribe when there's a competition, or, you know, if you buy a new shirt and it says subscribe. I think it's really valuable to value your time deleting those emails. So rather than delete it next time, unsubscribe. It's literally the tick of the bottom of the email, scroll to the bottom, and there's always a unsubscribe tick option, right? So that's a big one. At the moment, I'm trying to get my partner to do that. So I'm like, can you stop just deleting emails? You're wasting your time. So unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Big one. Photos are a big one for you, digital.
Oh, we talked about this the other day. So like, I think Lisa said she's got like 18,000 photos on her phone, but I will quarterly download all of my photos from my phone to an external hard drive. You can do it to a cloud, whatever technology you use, but so that it's not clogged up in my phone. When I want to find something, I'm not scrolling months and months back. And two, it's a bonus that if something was to happen to my phone, I've got all of my photos. Same in social media, you'll scroll through something, you'll save it. Quarterly, again, I'll go through all of my saves and go, like, what did I save that for? What did I screenshot that for? Did I really like that quote? Does it still align with me? Unsave, delete. And like, for me, it's just a really good like keeping everything else in check. Like if I keep my physical, which we'll get to shortly, physical clutter in check, I should be keeping my digital in check also, because that then reflects back to the mental clutter, because it's more of what you're seeing and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really important not to become overwhelmed. Like if you've got tens of thousands of accounts that you're following, maybe sitting down for one hour is not achievable to get through. It will feel like too much, but if you could do 15-minute increments to get through them, which is what we ended up doing in the end, to help you get through and get clear, the end result will be the same. The path that you take to get there is all individual.
Yeah, and I think, and I can relate this one back to my miracle mornings, but you know, I did for a while there just take like that 10-minute time for my visual rather than looking at my vision board, which I do daily. Is I actually thought, you know what, I'm actually going to swap my vision board now for actually getting in check with those kinds of visions, and me visually looking at my photos. I was like, I've got to start deleting, and it's definitely on my radar as we talk about this again today, is because I did look for a photo the other day and I went, no, this has happened again. But you know, we're coming into financial year, the next quarter, like when that quarterly time comes around, I can feel it's just around the corner. And I think a big one is the screenshots, because quite often for me, I'm taking a screenshot for a reason. So even though in the iPhones, I don't know about Samsung, but in the iPhones, you can just go back to your screenshots, which is great. And it's nearly just taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes out of the day when you have your morning coffee and go, you know what, I am just going to take 10 minutes. Today I'm just going to look at screenshots, and I'm just going to start either deleting, or a big one is like, we are such folder people and file people. Our inboxes are like next level, but I love that. Like, you can do that with photos as well. You know, you can create your albums in your photos. So if you are screenshotting recipes, have a recipe folder. You know, if you are screenshotting quotes, have a quote folder. Like, have some sort of system involved so that you've got a little bit more, less clutter, you could say. I guess that's what we're talking about. I think that's it for digital, right? Physical.
This is like my all-time favorite is physical.
Yeah, I'm breathing in the white space now, Hayley.
A big thing for me, I don't know the full scientifics behind it, but physical clutter increases your stress, endorphins and hormones, and obviously heightens everything when we're stressed. So I think being clear of clutter, your presence will be calmer.
Yeah.
Whether that be a stack of mail unopened, I mean, we'll go deep into this, or
there is so many levels of clutter.
My head is going crazy.
Yeah, there really is so many levels. And I think, like, I say this, like, it's very hard because we were on a different path 5 years ago, right? I was the mother of a 3-year-old. I had stuff and I loved it. I don't know. And yeah, there was a turning point. And it was like, I think we just really, I guess you could say, how do I say it? Is like understood the value of what was important and really what's not. And I think I was creating so much busyness in my own life. Like, and we are, as we all know, we are in control of that. Actually, that's a whole nother webinar. Anyway, sorry, my mind's thinking of the next one. But I think, oh gosh, this is nearly overwhelming to talk about, because there's so much that we could go into here.
Like I was saying to you the other day when we started to talk about this topic, I rent currently, and I've been renting since I moved out of home when I was 17. And since then, I carted these plastic tubs of photos from house to house to house. They just stored in my garage. I never did anything with them. I never looked through them, but they were my life, like from when I was a kid. So over time, and it took a long time, I started scanning all of these photos back to the trusty hard drive. And that allowed me to dispose of the physical, like I seriously think I had 3 75-litre tubs of photographs. I'm not even kidding. That's like 210 litres of photos. Cleared of those photos, I probably kept one album as a keepsake, and the rest is all gone, and it's all digital and filed so that I can refer back to that later, but I'm not physically carting that from house to house and storing it and then moving it again. And I do the exact same with any mail or important documents that come in. I have a little folder in my drawer, anything that's super important. Quarterly, once again, I seem to do everything quarterly. It's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
I will file any of those important documents digitally and get rid of the physical paper. I don't actually need it. Any important cards that are really beautiful that people have sent me or given to me, I'll scan and keep them. You want to be surrounding yourself with less stuff so that you have more time to truly enjoy what resonates with you and what's important to you.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, you've brought me back there because I was just like, wow, there's a lot I want to say here. And talking exactly about those photographs, I am not a hoarder by any means, but I used to love stuff. And by stuff, I mean, I was one of those people that loved a goodie bag. Oh, it's a free goodie bag. Yeah, I'll take it. And I get it home and I'm like, what is this? It's rubbish. It's pamphlets. It's clutter. I don't need it. So now I kindly say no when there's a goodie bag that I know I don't need. And this is a big one that I've taught this into my daughter as well, which is, you know, all stemmed from the Barefoot Investor and saving money. But the underlying like saying in our house is it a need or is it a want? Like, do you really need it? Do you really need that? I'm looking at someone on the live here. Do you really need that 6th pair of white jeans? Or do you just want them? She's smiling. She knows who she is. And, you know, it's that, oh, there she is. And it's a big thing, like, you know, do we really need it or do we just want that? So the photos were a massive one for me as well. When I moved into this unit, same. We had a garage. We had storage. And you know what? We honestly did not go into that storage for about 12 months. And we thought, okay, we actually haven't looked at this for 12 months. What purpose is it going to serve us carting it to the next place just to store? Photos were a big one. Yeah. And I'm talking of like backyard barbecues when I was 18. And there were so many memories there. But looking back, I have those memories in my head. And I don't look at those photos every day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let them go. And it felt so good. I did. I had the whole album. I didn't even scan them, Hayley. They're not on any hard drive. I just threw them out. And I went, you know what? If it really... And
that's where things are so individual.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, and I think, you know, how we save all our things for like good use. You know, I actually just shattered my nan's last teacup. But you know what? I used those teacups, and I had the set when she passed away. I still got all the sauces, funny that, but all the teacups I've smashed. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I know that I've been using them every day, thinking about my nan every day whilst using them. So I can honestly say, like, all those good things that you keep back in the back of the cupboard, you know,
you have them because they bring you joy. You might as well use them.
Start using them. Yeah. Light the candles, burn the incense, use the good towels. It's like, why do we buy these things and just have them on display? I don't know. And it could be generational, you know, like, I don't know the age like gap that we're talking to now either, but you know, like if you're over 60, like my mum has a cupboard full of glassware that I deliberately use now when I'm there because I'm like, Mum, who's ever going to use this? You know, it's only me. So I kind of am very mindful of that. But, oh, look, and I think it just starts as well, like even every quarter now, here we go again with the quarters, is that funnily enough, we've been for the last almost 2 years having a quarterly market stand. So we'll just hire a market stall at Kirribilli or Roselle, wherever the markets are on with another girlfriend, and we make it a day to catch up. Yeah. We've even invested in, you know, portable clothes racks because every quarter we've always got something that either no longer fits us, that we don't like anymore. It was fast fashion, it's damaged, it's just not we don't like it anymore. So we have these markets. We look at it as a bit of a food fest because most of our earnings do, let's be honest, go on food and coffee. But it's an opportunity to clear the clutter, to get out with the girlfriends and just make a day of it. We love it. We've really turned it into like an ongoing event, and paying it forward, you know, always, if you've got the space, if you've got your garage, to maybe even constantly have bins, which is like, okay, that's always for charity. That's always for, what do we got? What else is there? Markets, and that's for the rubbish bin, you know, so clearing that physical space of the things that really no longer serve you, you know. I think storage is a big one. If you don't look at it and you don't use it and you don't like it.
And if you're paying to store it or paying for containers so that everything looks nice put away and you're not using it, it's just more money that you're spending unnecessarily.
Yeah, so I mean, gosh, there's so
we could turn this into a budget saver.
Yeah, but there is really so much that goes with physical. And I understand too, like, and I was saying this, did I just say this, is so much is back onto your mindset as well. And it's like, I do know that, this is a really hard one. I'm not married, but I definitely know people that have their wedding dresses, and like people save all these things that are sentimental, and sentimental is probably the hardest of all, but I also don't hold on to that sort of thing. So I know that I'd probably sell my wedding dress or throw it out.
I still have mine in the box.
That's awful to say, and most people probably do, but it's kind of like, let's say it was a gift that you got off someone for your 21st birthday, and you can't part with it because you know that, you know, Joe went and looked and she took the time out to buy that clock for you or whatever it is, or the kettle, and you really don't love it, you really don't use it, you kind of sometimes have to go past the money value as well and think, how much over time has it deteriorated? Could you give it to somebody else? Would somebody else appreciate it? Like, I always love the whole giving, paying forward or giving back, or, you know, someone else out there would probably love it. So I think I definitely don't have a sentimental, I don't have a money thing towards things either. Like,
no, but you also don't have to get rid of everything in your first round. Like I was just saying to Lise, I went through another cleanse on the weekend. I call them a cleanse now. And I've brought nothing new into my home, but I still removed approximately 15, 16 things into my market box for home, from my home, where, like, as I say, nothing else has come in. But now that I'm looking back through everything, it doesn't have the same joy or connection to me that it did 5 years ago when I first started clearing and cleansing. And 5 years ago, it was really, really overwhelming. So I think it's really important to just stress that you don't have to do every single drawer, every single cupboard, every single room, every single corner in one day or all at once. It is a journey, and everybody's journey is individual, but you have to want to do it. You don't have to get rid of that clock straight away. You might get rid of it in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
You don't have to get rid of it at all. It's what is really important to you and what you want to hold on to.
I agree.
And not hold on to is what you let go of.
Yeah. Well said, Hayley. I absolutely agree with that, because, you know, I'm sitting here saying I'd sell a wedding dress. But it's kind of like, I'm not even in that position to be selling a wedding dress, but also the difference is, you know, where you're at. You might be sitting in a house at the moment that is completely cluttered, and you are so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to start. You know,
call us.
Yeah, call us. Please reach out. But it's kind of like my one tip would be is just to say to someone is, like, anything with doing anything, and with this comes momentum, is the consistency, and it's just starting. To start. And you know what? Even if it is just the cutlery drawer today, like just the cutlery drawer, like just the cup cupboard. Yeah. Like, honestly, small things consistently done every day is what creates the momentum, and the results come with that. And when you start to see the change is just when you start to free the mind, like everything, the whole shebang. Wow. So I feel like we've honestly only skimmed on what we could talk about on this. So
hope you all got something from that.
It's pretty much
a little something.
Yeah, like major life declutter, but remember that it's like your journey and whatnot. Feel like we've covered it all. Do you feel like we've covered it all?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah. As I said, we could talk
without going for hours.
Yeah. And Hayley and I had 7 nights together last year in Bali, and it still was not enough. Like 24/7 with each other, and it still wasn't enough. That post is on the website, actually, if you want to look at that Bali experience. But look, as always, guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope that we didn't talk too fast, and I hope you got something out of that. And as always, as I always say, if anything has resonated, if you feel that you have more to, like, if you want to hear and find out more, reach out to us. I've got the tasting plate. Hayley's over at Rise and Shine. If you want to do any one-on-one together, reach out or check out my page that I've got that up and running at the moment. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. That's once again our own experience. So please be mindful of that. And we will run over now to our Q&A, and we'll hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for joining.